And I had this feeling increasingly when you read her, that tremendous interest that she took in the 1971 Bangladesh War, General Dua, 1971 Bangladesh War. She would sit every day during that very difficult period and focus on the map. Colonel Bhalla is no more, but if you, I remember last time I met General Rodrigues, he died a few months after that, SF Rodrigues, General Jacob, JFR Jacob. And you know, the first thing he tells me when I told him, you know, that I grew up in Pondicherry, I studied there, the first thing that General Jacob tells me, oh, mother used to write to me. And she told me, during the war, she wrote to me that go there, I am there already. So, you know, you realize as you read her later writings, there was a tremendous identification with India. There was a total spread, total vastness. I don't know, you know, I feel there's a lot of limitation. I'm unable to explain it. Mother herself would feel that limitation, no, when she was trying to explain a certain experience to Satyan, that you won't understand it because the words are not. It's very difficult. I'm unable to exactly explain what I'm trying to say, but the tremendous identification with the vastness and depth of Bharat. The other thing is that I think Sri Aurobindo and the mother were the greatest realists and had the greatest affirmative vision when it came to India. Show me one line, one paragraph, where they have exuded a sense of impossibility when it came to anything. But since we are focusing on India, a sense of impossibility or a sense of dejection. Not one. I challenge. No pessimism. Fantastic. A complete affirmative vision when it came to India. And of course, Shyama Prasad Mukherjee had a very interesting relationship with Sri Aurobindo and with the mother, because there was a period when a number of disciples in Bengal, because at that time it was undivided Bengal and it was under the rule of the Muslim League, and there were many disciples who were active, who were activists also, and who wanted a direction because Subhash Bose had left, C.R. Das was no more, and they were not the Gandhian types. So what to do? And Sri Aurobindo instructed them to join hands with Shyama Prasad Mukherjee and strengthen his role in trying to preserve and protect at least a portion of Bengal. And it's a very interesting anecdote that after he resigned from the central cabinet, and why Shyama Prasad Mukherjee resigned, and that entire thing will come to that, and I'll bring in Sri Aurobindo there also. When he resigned from the central cabinet, Shyama Prasad Mukherjee resigned in April 1950, and he wanted to meet Sri Aurobindo after that. The Janasangh was founded in October 1951. So between April 1950 and 51, he wanted to meet Sri Aurobindo. Now I say these are the ifs of history. Had he met Sri Aurobindo? So he wanted to meet him because after post 47, Sri Aurobindo relaxed his seclusion a bit. He would meet public personalities. For example, when he received the award, the C.R. Reddy Award, he met the governor of Madras, came and gave him the award. There's a very beautiful letter where he's saying that I suppose you know that I don't go out. And you had the French Schumann also who came and met him. So he was meeting people. K.M. Munshi had the last meeting with him in July 1950. So Shyama Prasad Mukherjee wanted to meet him, but instead of writing to the mother, I think he thought the easiest thing is to write to Dilip Kumar Roy. Dilip Kumar Roy, and I say the ifs of history, Dilip Kumar Roy, without informing the mother, wrote back to Shyama Prasad Mukherjee saying that Sri Aurobindo is not well and he's not meeting people. So that's it. It didn't happen. And in December 1950, when Sri Aurobindo left, and this I got it from Himangshuda himself, who told me, he said that I got a telegram, I got a telephone call after I had come back from Pondicherry that Dr. Mukherjee wants to meet you. Their houses were just about 500 meters away. So he says, I came back from office, went to his house. He caught hold of me and embraced me in tears. And he said, everything is over. I wanted to meet Sri Aurobindo. So he said, why didn't you write to the mother? He said, no, I wrote to Dilip Kumar Roy, but he said Sri Aurobindo is not meeting anyone. And so when Himanshuda went back to Pondicherry, he told the mother, and he says, mother was so upset. Mother said, why didn't he write to me? He should have written to me. And that is how mother identified Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, because he was already a very well-known educationist. He was the first Minister of Free India's cabinet as Minister of Industry. Mother designated him as the chairman of the Sri Aurobindo Memorial Committee, which met in Pondicherry in April 1951 to conceive and create this idea of a university center. And that's how, the relationship built up. And I have a very beautiful letter of Nolinidas, which he wrote to Shyama Prasad Mukherjee. That was the last letter, saying that mother sends you her blessings, and I hope you're looking after yourself. And of course, we know when Shyama Prasad Mukherjee passed away in Kashmir, demanding the abrogation of Article 370, mother had clearly said, mother told Manoj Da, that he was killed. And to Pranab Da, she clearly said that it was an unnatural death. And years later, in the agenda, mother says that what kind of leadership do we need in India? We need a leadership which has a tremendous mass base, a leader or a leadership which is open to Sri Aurobindo, and which has the capacity to translate Sri Aurobindo's vision or his thought into mass action. And she says, years ago, and this was quite later, mother was already advanced in age. She says, years ago there was one such leader, that tall and hefty gentleman who had come to Pondicherry. We had invited him. That gentleman. So I think whoever was there prompts her, saying that Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, yes. He was someone who could have done it to a certain extent. He was open to Sri Aurobindo. And it's very interesting that in 1950, Sri Aurobindo's last birthday, 78th birthday, in 1950, Sri Aurobindo gave special benediction to Shyama Prasad Mukherjee. He had commissioned a statue of Sri Aurobindo's in Kolkata. The statue was made and it was publicly worshipped, and Sri Aurobindo allowed it on his 78th birth anniversary. The photograph is still there. The statue is still there in Kolkata. I had the privilege of preserving it, because when I found it out, it was the hand, Sri Aurobindo's hand was dangling out and all that. So we have preserved it. I could preserve it. So I just thought, I'll just start with some prefatory, some anecdotes. I think through anecdotes, because if through evening talks you can get so much on India, through anecdotes also you can get a lot of direction. Because after all, we need something for our own sustenance. And I think these are what sustains me. So I see it, very symbolic, that now I am totally immersed and focused on Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, in the sense that, I head the organization which is named after him. And I'm a product of the university center which he was the chairman, the setting up of which he, in a sense, foresaw. Now let me start with a few issues. Really, it's very difficult to give a roadmap or a framework of Sri Aurobindo and the future of India. But I regard the pact as an exceedingly clever move of Liaquat Ali to fish his nation in quotes, Sri Aurobindo puts in quotes, nation, to fish his nation out of the desperate situation into which it had run itself and to secure its safe survival. 3rd May 1950, letter to Amal Kiran on the Nehru-Liaquat Pact. Now, why am I saying this at present? And the last conversation that Sri Aurobindo had, 4th December morning, so to say, a call from Pondicherry Prabhat Sanyal. Sri Aurobindo looked at the watch, it was 10:10 in the morning. And Prabhat Sanyal was having a conversation with him, 4th December 1950. Last thing that Sri Aurobindo asked, and you did not ask me about Bengal. What about Bengal? So Prabhat Sanyal says that I described to him the condition of Bengal, the situation in East Bengal, the situation of the refugees who are coming in, pathetic plight, the torturous condition. And I asked him whether Bengal will not be salvaged. Sri Aurobindo closed his eyes, opened it once and said, yes, Bengal can be saved, but Bengal has to aspire for the divine. And then he closed his eyes. This was a very strong sentiment that was there at that point of time. And very interestingly, if you look at the Mother India editorials that Amal would edit, India and the World Scene is a collection of those editorials. If you go through, I would recommend, ask all of you to go through that volume, because they're very interesting topics which are so relevant even today. You realize that, and those editorials, as per Amal, were vetted by Sri Aurobindo, were corrected and edited by him, and only when he wired yes were those editorials printed. So I assume that the Mother India editorials between 1949 and 50 broadly reflected the political stand of Sri Aurobindo. I mean, you can always doubt Amal. I mean, we can all doubt each other. There's no problem in that. But he's very clear on that. And there are editorials, for example, this one to the refugees of East Bengal. Amal was himself very poetic in his writing, where you clearly see that there was a strong public opinion in the country that if Pakistan can't protect its minorities, India is duty bound to do so. And when this public opinion reached a crescendo, the Liaquat-Nehru Pact was brought in, where India promised to protect her minorities and Pakistan promised to protect her minorities. 8 April the pact was signed, and on 19th April 1950, Shyama Prasad Mukherjee resigned from the cabinet, and his historic statement on the floor of the House, where he clearly says that this pact is bound to fail because we will carry out our duty towards our minorities, Pakistan will not. And that is exactly what happened. Within 3 months of signing this pact, you had an increasing number of pogroms against the minorities in Pakistan. Pakistan declared itself an Islamic state, and you had Sri Aurobindo's erstwhile revolutionary colleagues, or juniors, not colleagues but juniors, people like Bhupendra Kumar Datta, who had stayed back in Pakistan, revolutionaries like Trailokanath Chakravarti, who were part of the Jugantar group, who write saying that the moment you declared that they declared that Pakistan was an Islamic state to be driven by Islamic ideals and laws, we realized that we, who have lived in this land for generations, have become aliens. And it's very interesting that Jogendranath Mandal, who was the first law minister of Pakistan, member of the Muslim League, a Dalit leader, a Dalit Bengali Hindu leader, on 25th May, Sri Aurobindo's letter is 3rd May, on 25th May, Jogendranath Mandal has a confidential private conversation with a representative of the Hindu in Dhaka. And he says the same thing. He says, your Prime Minister concluded a pact with him, with Liaquat Ali, so that Pakistan could be rescued and saved. So what I'm saying is that, I had the occasion, because in the last 2 months I have extensively written and spoken, gone around the country. So if you ask me, because I have also cited, what would Sri Aurobindo have said on CAA? Sri Aurobindo would have welcomed CAA. As per his position, as per his statements, between 1947 and 1950. And the conclusion of CAA today is settling that unsettled fact of history. It gives dignity, permanency, respect to those, that huge population which was uprooted from 1947 onwards. Now, I would urge you to really read these editorials. It's a very interesting conversation, and especially Sri Aurobindo's this letter where he speaks about the Nehru-Liaquat Pact.